Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here with an episode of This Week, which is one that I air every week. Comes out Sunday at noon. Basically, it's an episode that talks about the content for the channel during the week that we're talking about, the week coming up. Also, sometimes I do talk about future things I'm going to be doing, and possibly this week I may give kind of an overview of where I see this going over the next little while, this channel. I think it's important to kind of have some long-term goals. I don't have any specific long-term goals at this point in time, but I do have a couple of things I would like to try, and that'll depend on a lot of situation, but I'll get into that when I do that episode, when I get to this part of the episode. Sometimes I also talk about things that have happened in the past on the episode, or something that may need some clarification. I don't think there's anything of that nature this week, but it may happen that I think of something while we're doing this, but at the point in time, I haven't thought of anything, so I'm not going to worry about it. So without further ado, we will get into the shows for the week. So I basically have, other than this week, which we're doing right now, I have 6 other regular shows that I do. 2 of them are alternating, so what that really means is that I have one that comes out one week, and then the next week the other show. I have 2 of them in that position, and the first one up is Ben's Album Challenge, and it's one of those shows. So I do Ben's Album Challenge, and then the alternate week I do the Great Album Challenge. And I decided to do this because the problem with doing Ben's Album Challenge every week is I think it gets a little stale for both me and Ben, so we wanted to do something that is a little bit different and spaces it out, so you're not doing the same thing all the time. You're trying to do something different, so it keeps it a little fresher. So for Ben's Album Challenge this week, he has given me, I believe they're a New Zealand band. If I'm not correct, somebody will let me know, but I'm pretty sure they are, Split Ends, and the album is Mental Notes. I have listened to this bits and pieces at time, but I haven't listened to it all. They, to me, are a new wave band, but I think this album is prior to that era, so I'm curious to see exactly what it is we're going to be listening to here. Monday night is the night that we do Monday Night Look Back at a classic rock album, and the one we're going to do this week is this one. And I do apologize, I still haven't figured out how to switch the views on this one yet. I'll attempt that after I'm done this video to make sure that I got it right. With my other computer, I always knew exactly how to do that, but I have never tried it on this one, so we'll see. Anyways, we're doing the Traveling Wilburys. This is their volume 1 of 2, but they have 3, so don't ask me. I'm not going to explain that. Anyways, I like this album. I originally, when I had it in my playlist, wasn't going to do it because I didn't think it would quite measure up, but it's grown on me over time, so we're going to do this. This will be my look back at a classic rock album this week. The next show up comes out on Tuesday. This is also another partnership, if you want to call it. So you have What's New comes out one week, and Metal comes out the other week. So last week we did Metal featuring the Scorpions. This week we're doing What's New, and that will feature either Palace, Raven's Age. It was a third one, and I've lost it in time. It might come back to me, but anyways, I'm gonna do one of the 3. It just basically is about my access. Can I access all these albums? Where will I be able to actually give them a listen? So whichever one is going to allow me to do that is probably the one I'm going to do this week. Sometimes when a particular album is very new, can't access a lot of it unless you actually have the album with you. So anyways, one of those 3 will be the one that I do this week. Then the next show up is my Wednesday Night Favorites, which I think is the favorite of everybody on this who watches this channel. They like this the best. Last week I did the bands I hated but grew to love. And this week I'm going to do the opposite, and it's not something I normally do, but I'm going to do the opposite. It just makes sense. Bands I loved that I've grown to not like. I can't actually, well, yeah, I can. There's a couple of them I really hate, and then there's a couple of them that I don't really like, and then there's one of them I more or less have grown apart from it. But we'll get to those 5 bands when we do Wednesday Night Favorites. So I'm doing 5 bands that I used to love but have grown to detest. So I guess it's the opposite, right? Okay, so on Thursday, we're back with the Forward Champion. I'm speechless about how well this Gentle Giant album is done. First it took down Yes, which I didn't think would happen. And now it's manhandling my precious Ace Frehley album. And so for people that want to know, how do I decide on what the challenger is? So basically I try to alternate it. So I have then one of the challengers will be a prog album, and then the next challenger might be a hard rock album, and then the third challenger might be a metal album, which is the case this week, because this will be the new challenger to face whoever wins. Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind. Some people would say this is their best album. It's not my favorite, but I can see why people feel that way about it. Really solid album. It'll make an excellent challenge for whoever wins. And then, sometime I might do something that's a little poppy or well-known. I may do something like that once in a while too, but we will see. So I try to keep it rolling. I don't want to just do progressive all the time or hard rock all the time or metal all the time. It's good to keep them open. Obviously, the progressive albums have a better chance of winning because of the channel itself. Okay, and then the last episode of this week will be Monster Hits, which will be from 1979. Last Monster Hits was a tough one. They've actually progressively gotten harder. When I first started them, I was just doing 5 songs, and then I quickly realized that I had to do more than 5, so I upped it to 10. And then that was okay for a few episodes until I started getting more into the mid to late 70s, and then I began to realize, oh my God, there's like dozen, this week is 1979 already done my list up, and there's at least a full page of songs on here that I could include in this list. Some of them are duplicates of the same group, so only one can go on. That's normally what I do, so I only choose one song per group. And in the case of one band, they have 4 hits here. I could have chosen any one of the 4. I just picked the one I liked the best and put it in the list. And the others will all get honorable mentions. Some of the songs that I thought would definitely be on this list to be ranked got pushed out when I finally did the ranking. There was no place for them, so they got pushed right out. So this has been the hardest one so far. And 1979 we're doing. Last week's was a hard one too. So, anyways, that was a good. That'll be a good episode for me and for other people to put their comments. A lot of people a couple guys brought up songs on the last one that I completely just missed the boat on. I always miss the boat on a couple here too, because I started looking through a list of big hits at that time. But I started in the middle and didn't realize it, and I missed some of the stuff at the top. And then I'm saying, oh, where's this song? Why isn't this song on here? And then when I looked back, there was a couple of others I had forgotten too. So anyways, should be an interesting list this week. And then, of course, we have our series. I realized that yesterday the episode came out late, and that was primarily because of me testing my new computer. I have 2 now. It's always good to have 2 because you never know when one's going on the fritz. That's what caused the problem last weekend, is that my original computer just, I could get it fixed, but what would be the point? And so I started using my gaming computer, my MSI, which is this one, which is quite good. This is a very good computer, but it doesn't hold a lot of battery charge, and that's part of the issue I have. But at any rate, it's a good one, and the other one will be decent if I have to use it in certain situations, and I may. Okay, so and we have, of course, 7 episodes going this week, which will, is it 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, so we have 7, and at the end of this week, we will finish the first round. And then Ben, generally what happens when we finish a round is Ben then takes the remaining 16 16 bands that get through. He will then arrange them in competition against each other. So he'll arrange the competitions, and then we start a game. So far, I've really liked a lot of the stuff that I've heard. Much of it I hadn't heard before. Some of it I'd heard bits and pieces. There was a couple of albums that I have heard before. But for the most part, some really solid progressive stuff out there that just never got its due. And I know it really pains some people. It really angers some people quite a bit that a band they think is absolutely top-notch never even gets recognized. And again, it just comes down to, wrong time, wrong place. Maybe they came out too late after that commercial success of the early 70s. Maybe band members jumped ship at the wrong time. Maybe they didn't have the best promoter, or maybe their manager wasn't the right guy for them, didn't get them the gigs they needed to get, or, all kinds of different things happen to these bands that, keep them from reaching that status. Sometimes it's just the album production isn't that great, or, maybe one or two of the musicians are kind of weak. It's hard to say what keeps them. But, the great part about doing this YouTube channel and about being part of this YouTube community is that many of these albums get a second chance now, which they wouldn't have had 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, because we're now talking about them, and that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we got 7 videos for this week. One of them came out this morning, so I urge you to watch that one and tell me what you think. And so what's coming up in the future? Okay, I still have the Roy Orbison Rock Legends video. I wanted to release it last month, but I just didn't get the time for various reasons. This month we're doing the series, so I don't really want to intrude on it. So I'm thinking next month, instead of doing a series, which I wanted a break from anyways, I may do this Roy Orbison Rock Legends. Well, I will do it. I will do it one of the Saturdays during the month. And I'm also going to do a couple of mini-series that I had in mind. One, Ben suggested something that he wanted to see, and so I've been giving it quite a bit of thought since we did the first mini-series, which was the Big 6 progressive rock bands. I took a few hits for that, but I hope people understand these weren't my choices. These were the ones that everybody on YouTube recognizes as the Big 6. I didn't say that I thought they were the Big 6. I think that that's generally the way people view them. So I've tried to come up with one for hard rock bands too, but there doesn't seem to be one out there. So I'm going to make my own. And I'm not sure if it'll be the Big 6, but it likely is going to be the Big 7, because 7 is my favorite number, and that's the number I'm probably going to go with. I've got some bands in mind. This could be interesting. I'm going to do a mini-series on it, on these 7 bands. And part of the criteria for that will be, first I got to like them. How big, how popular were they? How influential were they? Pretty much the same as the Big 6 in the progressive rock scene. I will try to not limit my Big 7 hard rock bands to the same criteria as the Big 6, which seems to be that the only progressive bands that existed were on one small island in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, no, we're going to spread it out a bit, and I will give 6 that and I'll give reasons why I chose them. And of course, it will only be my choices. It's not going to be like they're the definitive Big 7. It'll be the Big 7 of mirth. That's it. And then you people can have your Big 7 if you want to. You may agree or disagree, but there'll be bands brought up that don't normally get talked about as much as they used to, and that's what's good, anytime you can talk about something that you love, that's a good thing. So that is a mini-series that I'm thinking of doing. I have a couple of other mini-series in mind, but I want to put them together a little more before they're not so murky at this point. They're a little bit murky. So, and the Roy Orbison thing. And then we'll go back to another series, which I have a series in mind. I think I'm going to do another album year where I pick if I do it in November, of course it'll be 30, so it'll be my 30 favorite albums of 19, whatever it is. I have a pretty good idea what year I want to do, but I want to wait. That's still a fair bit of time in the future, so we'll just leave that for a bit. As to the question that was put to me, where do I see this channel going? Well, I think the sky's the limit. I think we can go all the way to the top, but there's a lot of dependable things that have to go on there. I know some people have wanted me to do videos with other people, so much like they do on Sea Tranquility, there's a few other series out here, YouTube sites out here that do the same type of thing. I don't see me getting to that anytime really too soon, because I still feel like I'm kind of like if you were in high school, there'd be like, what do you got? You got your I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. So you got your juniors and your seniors and your sophomores and whatever the rookie year is. I don't even know what that is now. I can't remember. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on it. But at any rate, I can see myself as being like a second year high schooler. So maybe by the time I get late into the third year and fourth year, I'll know enough to actually do one of those live videos. Not just enough about the computer and stuff. I'm still learning a lot about that, but also enough about the albums. My repertoire of albums has more than tripled in the last year, and probably has gone 5 or 10 times as many albums as I've ever owned in my life. So, I still think of myself as an apprentice here. So that's a good word. I'm an apprentice. So I'm not quite ready to join the big leagues yet, but I'm getting there. And I hope you will stick with me, and we'll all get there together. So what else do I have to tell you? Other than that, I have none of my one-offs am I doing because the series takes up so much time. I just don't have time for one-off. I had thought about doing another compilation or another What's the Difference. One of those two I might do, but at this point in time, I had to stop midweek to do a tribute for the late Gary Wright, who, I was very disappointed that happened. He's one of those rock stars too that is, he's not your chronic bad boy rock star. He's a good guy and loved his wife, and he made that song Dreamweaver, which really touched me, and so I felt like I had to do a tribute to him, and I think people want you to do tributes to people that you have some affection for. I try not to do the ones for people I don't really know, because it just, why are you doing it then? Because you don't even know the person, right? So, I still feel for the people, but of course I don't know much about them, so I try to steer clear of that. Okay, so I think I've said plenty too much probably, as always, but I hope that you will come around and see some of these shows that you really like, and you can hit the notice bell if you want, and then you won't miss any of the episodes, which is great for me and great for you too. So if you like what you hear today, please hit the like button. That'd be much appreciated. The subscriptions are good too. They help me in the long run. And if you got any comments about anything I've said, or something that you heard me say that made you think, oh, I'd like to see this, or I'd like to see that, make your suggestions. I don't generally do stuff right away, but I will keep it in my mind, and then when I can work it out to be something I can do, then I will do it. I try to accommodate people because, You people are the ones that keep this show going. If I don't have anybody watching it, it doesn't really make much sense for me doing it, right? So anyways, you have yourself a good day, and we will see you soon. Take care.